Do you think that your backlog is well managed? What are the attributes of a well-managed backlog and why they are important? In this video, I will give you 6 best practices that can help you keep your backlog in a great condition. My name is Vladimir, I'm an Agile coach and this is Practical Agile. Best practice number 1. A good backlog must fulfill its purpose, which is to provide a transparent view on a short and mid-term plan for the development team and its stakeholders, and to support the team and its stakeholders in their decision-making. It is sometimes surprising how many people do not understand the purpose of the backlog and how to interpret it. So I made another video available here, where this topic is covered in a greater detail. I will put a link to all videos that I will be mentioning today to the description below as well. Best practice number 2. Make sure all backlog items are well defined. The backlog items must contain the right amount of information to be useful for the team and other stakeholders that need to access the backlog. If the frequently used information is not present on the backlog items, if it is hard to find, or if it requires significant effort to access the information, backlog will quickly become useless. To see what is the right amount of information for backlog items, please watch my other video available here. Best practice number 3. Maintain a correct level of granularity of backlog items. Keeping the granularity consistent by keeping the size of backlog items within reasonable boundaries has many positive effects on the team. For example, it leads to a better transparency, predictability of the team performance, faster lead times, easier progress tracking, and to overall increase in quality of the work. If you want to know how to maintain correct level of backlog granularity, please watch my other video, again available here. Best practice number 4. Keep your backlog always updated so that it always accurately reflects reality. The backlog is not a one-time document that you can publish somewhere and then forget it, or just update it once a year. The backlog owner, of course with the assistance of the team, must make sure that the backlog is being continually updated. This backlog maintenance must become a standard part of the team's working procedures, and the team must allocate adequate time for it. For Scrum teams, for example, it is required by the Scrum framework that the backlog is being updated at least at the end of each sprint review meeting. On the other hand, Kanban teams, as they have no sprint reviews, must establish their own procedures for a regular backlog maintenance. And what exactly the team should do during the backlog maintenance? The backlog owner, with the assistance of the team, should reprioritize the backlog based on an actual situation and update all backlog items so that they contain the latest information the team has. Best practice number 5. Maintain the backlog continually in a reasonable size so that it remains transparent and practical. There is no hard set limit for the reasonable backlog size, and the correct backlog size may depend on multiple factors, especially on environment volatility. For a typical development team, I normally recommend keeping the backlog size limited to a maximum of 100 to 150 items. The more volatile the environment is, the closer you can go to the 150 items limit. Otherwise, you should do your best not to exceed 100 backlog items. The items that exceed this limit should be either deleted as a part of the backlog triage, or if those backlog items contain valuable information which should not be lost, they should be moved away from the backlog and stored somewhere else. But how should you identify the items that should be deleted? Typical candidates for a removal are old backlog items close to the bottom of the backlog. The older they are, the more likely they should be removed. For example, when there is an old backlog item older than, let's say, 1 or 2 years, which was not able to make it anywhere closer to the top of the backlog during that time, the chances that your team will be doing that item in a midterm future are close to 0. Such items should be immediately removed from the backlog, as they only create clutter there. Again, there are no hard set rules for the triage of the backlog, but my advice is to be strict, not to make any compromises, and delete everything from the backlog which is too old and contains no valuable information. In the worst case, you can always recreate such backlog items when they suddenly become a priority. The primary reason for keeping the backlog in a manageable size is that you need to be able to quickly determine a relative priority and the relative estimation of individual backlog items amongst each other, which may be very hard to do if the backlog grows over a certain size. Maintaining the backlog in a manageable size is a very frequent problem for many teams and their product owners. Best practice number 6. Establish a backlog owner and make him accountable for keeping backlog in a top condition. At the same time, make sure that everyone understands responsibilities and working procedures related to backlog management. Having well-defined responsibilities and processes for backlog management, ideally linked to performance goals of respective people, is a prerequisite for effective backlog management. To see how the responsibilities should be defined, please watch my other video, which is available here. Those were 6 best practices that will enable an effective backlog management in your team. Please keep in mind that to be successful in backlog management, you have to implement them all, as they are really essential for getting the backlog into a good condition. Their partial implementation is usually not sufficient. Thank you for watching this video, and if you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my future videos. See you next time!